Good afternoon and welcome to the Automotive 30% Club Inspiring Automotive Women Awards. I'm Julia Muir, the founder of the club, and it's my great pleasure to be your main host today. The purpose of our awards is to recognise you amazing women and the contribution you make to business success, and to celebrate all that you do to inspire other women to join our sector and progress within it. Yet again, we were overwhelmed with the vast number of wonderful nominations, and it was such a difficult job for our judges to select just 30 names along with our overall Inspiring Automotive Woman of the Year. We read fabulous stories about so many women that were extremely motivational, and all the nominations expressed a huge degree of heartfelt appreciation, deep admiration, respect and affection. So the judges selected 5 women who they felt should be given special recognition, and they've been named as our inclusive leader, our HR director game changer, trailblazer, diversity champion and rising star. These women and our Inspiring Automotive Woman of the Year will join me in conversation this afternoon, and I do hope that you will help us to make this event a little more interactive by submitting questions for them to answer in our panel session later. You can do this by clicking on the Q&A button within that session. Of course, our congratulations go to not only the award winners, but to every woman who inspired her colleagues so much that they submitted a nomination for them. You should feel extremely proud to have made such a positive impact on your peers, and I'm so impressed by and very proud of what you are all achieving. I would like to thank once again our fantastic award sponsors, Jardine Motors Group, particularly Neil Williamson, Claire Wright and Amanda Mogan-Wilson, and also to thank our new awards event supporters, Close Brothers Motor Finance, Volkswagen Group UK, Solus Accident Repair Centres and Auto Trader, who have kindly contributed so that the winners could enjoy their lovely Fortnum and Mason cream tea and champagne hampers. So let's tuck into the treats, let's pour the fizz or your drink of choice obviously, and let's hear from representatives from those supporting companies. So I'm now going to hand over to Claire Wright, who will host the session.
Okay, I'm Claire Wright, Group HR Director at Jardine Motors Group, and we are the main sponsor of the Inspiring Automotive Women Awards, and this will be the 3rd year that we've sponsored the awards, and we're delighted to do so again. We are joined today by some amazing women in automotive, and that they are Mandy Smith from Close Brothers, Steph Brindley from Solus Accident Repair, Penny Weatherup from VW Group and Polly Caldwell from Auto Trader. And before we begin, I'm going to get each of our panel to formally introduce themselves. So perhaps Penny, if we could start with you.
Thank you, Claire. Yes, I'm Penny Weatherup. I am the Group HR Director for Volkswagen Group in the UK. I've worked here at Volkswagen Group for nearly 15 years and in my current role for 6 years. So really looking forward to taking part in this conversation.
Thanks, Penny. And Steph.
Hi, Steph Brindley. I'm a regional operations lead for Solus Accident Repair Centres, so I look after 4 of their large body shops. So we do a lot of the accident repairs for Aviva Insurance. I've worked in the automotive industry probably the best part of 20 years now. So yeah, absolutely love it, and I'm really excited to be a part of this to sort of really pioneer to increase the diversity in our business.
Thanks, Jeff. Mandy.
Hi, I'm Mandy Smith. I'm HR Business Partner for Close Brothers Motor Finance. I've been with the business 6 years and my only job in the industry, so it's been an exciting 6 years for me, and I'm very pleased to be here today.
And finally, Polly.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm Polly Caldwell. I'm a product lead at Auto Trader. I've been at Auto Trader for 9 years now, and as well as my day-to-day role, if you like, I'm also a co-lead of our women's network. I'm really involved with our diversity and inclusion guild, and really just driving change together responsibly, and really trying to change the diversity that we have here in the automotive industry.
Right, thank you, Polly. So before we get into the discussion this afternoon, I just wanted to also thank the panel, because they are our other 4 sponsors of our event this afternoon. So a huge thank you. So what we want to do as part of the panel today is just talk about why we believe it's so important to support this event and the awards, and to explain why and how they help us to achieve a greater gender balance and the goals that we have associated with these. So I'll kick us off. So we started sponsoring these awards, the Inspiring Automotive Women Awards, I say 3 years ago now. This is our 3rd year, as we really saw it as a great platform to celebrate the success of female talent across the whole of automotive, and really be able to signpost and signal to the external world that actually automotive is a place where females can succeed in increasing that gender balance that we have all been working on for many, many years. The awards do have huge benefits. We've had a number of females nominated and win over the years, and they really do inspire others to start waving their own flags, and the individuals that win really do become real models and motivate the individuals in our organisations, and not just people who are front facing to customers, for example, but those that are real enabling functions that help us all to achieve what we need to do for our customers, whether that be our customers in a showroom, or from a manufacturing point of view, or in an accident repair centre. Any customer we have, there's lots of females that sit behind that in making our businesses a huge success. So that's why it's important for us. And the awards fit as part of our wider diversity and inclusion strategy. And what, for me personally, what the awards do is it's a really great external barometer, because the awards are judged by external people. So there is no biases. Everyone is really judged on the merit of their awards entry, which again is another great barometer for us as part of our D&I strategy in how successful we're being in the types of individuals that we have in our business. So you've probably heard enough from me now. I'm going to go to each of my great panel members to hear a bit more from them about why it's important to sponsor these types of awards. So Mandy, coming to you first of all. So again, big to hear from you about why you think it's important to support the Inspiring Automotive Women event, and to tell us about why your team at Close Brothers view it as important to get involved, and how that really helps with the process of recognition for your inspirational women.
Yeah, of course. So at Close Brothers Motor Finance, we've been really super keen to get involved in the awards. So this is the first time that we have been a sponsor. So that's exciting for us. We have been a member with the Automotive 30% Club for a number of years, and that's because driving that gender equality in our business is one of our main priorities, and that's particularly in our sales team, which has a much higher number of male colleagues, and also male applicants if we have any vacancies that we're trying to fill. So, you know, we've been working hard to try and entice more talented females to join our business, and, you know, to develop those that we have. We have set up our internal Women in Motor Forum, of which I'm one of the sponsors. And again, we're using that to really help kind of pull those talented females through, buddy them up, show them what good looks like, and you know, with our role models that we've got in there. And the awards, I guess, are just that perfect opportunity to really celebrate our amazingly talented women. Thanks
for that, Mandy. You make some really, really important points, especially about the gender mix especially in showrooms. So again, the awards definitely provide a great platform to change perception that women can actually succeed in this industry. So moving on to you, Steph. Solus only joined the Automotive 30% Club quite recently.
Yeah.
Yeah, you immediately jumped into the nomination process with lots of enthusiasm, which is fantastic. Would you like to share us why you felt it's so important to get involved and recognise your fantastic women?
Yeah, I suppose, and I'm going to talk probably about our industry as a whole. So accident repair is very sort of unknown to the public domain. You know, people who own cars obviously are very fully up to speed on where to buy a vehicle, probably where to have the vehicle serviced or any diagnostics done on the vehicle, but actual accident repair or body repair is still probably quite an unknown entity. So because of that, we're probably a little bit sort of behind the automotive industry as a whole in diversity. I mean, you know, for me being in this industry for the length of time that I have, and I fell into it through obviously my background in insurance, and then I went into motor engineering, and then obviously into the body shop side of accident repair. Women are still very few between, especially in a lot of the technical roles. So for us, being a part of the Automotive 30% Club and really sort of building that gender balance within our business and promoting that within the industry, we have a real opportunity to be able to sort of represent our customer base and our local communities. So so even though it is improving year on year, we still have an extremely low rate in all areas of accident repair. So we're really, really lucky that our managing director, Simon Smith, he recognises this. And we have full support of our senior leadership team at Solus. So we feel it's our duty to the accident repair industry to really push that gender balance in the forefront of our future business strategy. So for us, the business awards are a fantastic way of advocating and promoting successful women publicly. Our industry, as I said earlier, is this unknown entity in the public domain. So by Solus being involved in these awards, we're really hoping that this will inspire other females to pursue a career in the accident repair industry.
Great, thanks, Steph. And again, thank you so much for getting involved so early on, and I'm sure it'll make a huge difference. We've also got quite a long way to go, but it's great that you're leading the way for repair. So thank you for that. Penny, moving on to yourself. VW Group have sponsored a number of club activities in the past, in particular the Inspiring Women Day for Outreach event. What was the impact of that event on the team that participated in it? And why do you think it's so beneficial that you support these awards?
Thanks, Claire. I think the impact is hard to measure because it's so significant amongst female colleagues in terms of the participation. Without doubt, it's extremely motivational, and those colleagues also feel that they're really getting the opportunity to make a difference on a topic that they're all extremely passionate about. And the fact that they're engaging in the main with school pupils, and sometimes it's mixed events, so it's male and female, and also college students. It's wonderful to be able to see from an age demographic how well that relationship works, because for someone like me that's been in the automotive industry a long time now and kind of, you know, I dare I say a lot older than that cohort that we're talking to, it brings it to life a lot more when they're talking to somebody that's relatable. So that's relatable through gender, but also through age. So you can see the pleasure that it gives our younger employees. It's not always the younger employees, but some of the younger employees, in order to be able to engage. And where it works very powerfully is when they talk about the challenges they've had possibly through education, the challenges through exams, their thought processes around what industry to aim for, and then their story about how they've decided to join the automotive industry. And that's just inspirational in itself. So the impact it has is both there, of course, on the people that the students that they're talking to, and giving advice to, because it tends to be advice a bit around qualifications, career pathways, the choices that they've got ahead of them, and sometimes as well recognizing that they don't have to go with the choice that they perhaps originally first thought of. There are different routes through your career to make different decisions around progressing your career. So the impact is high, I would say, and it's truly inspirational to both see and be part of.
Right.
In terms of the Inspiring Automotive Women Awards, I think it really generates an excitement. It's an excitement amongst the colleagues that are nominated, not only those, so the nominations, but also colleagues who are winners of certain categories. But we publicise that widely in the organisation so that they get that recognition. It increases confidence in our colleagues, and we start to see the benefit of that. So both the outreach activity, we start to see an increase in balanced gender representation through our graduate and our undergraduate schemes. And we see that through also participating in the Inspiring Automotive Women Awards, because that then gives us something to talk to externally when we're hiring people, so that we can talk about the positive statement that we're making about the importance of diversity. But if you don't believe us, then here's some proof around what we're doing in just one area, and that happens to be gender representation.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Penny. And finally, Polly. So Auto Trader have been a long-standing supporter of the club and also a sponsor. And like Neil Williamson, our CEO, your COO, Catherine Ferris, is a patron of the club. A number of your colleagues have been award winners. Can you explain what kind of buzz it gives to that group of women the company recognised as being inspirational?
Yes, certainly. So I think, as sort of Penny was starting to touch on there, the buzz, it's not even about the winners. It really does start at that nomination phase. So thinking about, who can you nominate and what are you going to nominate them for? I think for us, that's where the buzz really sort of starts. But then thinking about last year, having Rebecca Clark, our sales director, actually recognised, it created such a buzz. And that's normally in the office, but with the way things were last year, actually that was translated to social, to LinkedIn. So it was amazing to have this buzz in quite maybe a different way to what we would have done previously. But going back to Rebecca, so she's been a long time advocate for diversity inclusion. She's well known within Auto Trader for those sort of fun, trusting and sort of inclusive teams that she builds. So for that to be recognised externally was absolutely fantastic, a real achievement. And within the organisation, we all were just so proud of her, truly and wholly, for sure. But looking at all of the winners that we've had across Auto Trader and over the years as well, it really does give people a boost. I think women, maybe more so than men, can sometimes suffer with confidence issues, as an example. And I think things like this, where you get that external validation and that recognition, it's absolutely fantastic to really lift women up. Hearing those nominations and sort of the reasons why someone has taken the time to really single you out and give you that feedback and that recognition is fantastic. And I think it was mentioned previously, but women aren't necessarily the best at championing their own achievements. So the Inspiring Automotive Women Awards is a really fantastic opportunity to do that and pass on that recognition.
Right, thanks, Polly. So that brings us to an end. Thank you so much to our panellists for your contribution. I think we've all consistently talked about the importance of these awards in really giving that platform and that recognition to the great women in our industry, and also how important it is that to share that externally as well, which these awards really, really do. And again, thank you so much for your support and sponsorship of these awards. Again, it's greatly appreciated. So I'm now going to hand over to Julia, who's going to reveal the names of this year's Inspiring Automotive Women. Thank you.
Thanks very much to Claire and all our sponsors for sharing your thoughts and for your support. So now it's what we've all been waiting for. It's time to give our wonderful Inspiring Automotive Women Award winners their moment in the sun. And we're going to also hear from our Special Recognition Award winners. CEO of Mercedes-Benz Retail Group and the winner of the Inclusive Leader Award for her commitment to driving an inclusive culture throughout her organisation and for being personally involved in supporting the Automotive 30% Club's activities. Congratulations, Angela.
Thank you very much, Julia. I feel very honoured to receive it.
So what did it feel like to be named our Inclusive Leader Award winner?
Well, to be honest, at first I was a bit shocked because I couldn't work out how my name was on the list. We'd had a number of nominations within our own organisation and I knew the names of those ladies and I just couldn't work it out. So I went to my senior team and said, do you know anything about this? And they then confessed that they'd conspired to put in the nomination on my behalf, which was really nice. I'm really grateful for them doing that. I don't know how they managed to keep it such a secret, but I feel very lucky to have their support, and I really hope that's a vote of confidence that we're starting to move things forward in the business.
So you're seen as an inspiring and inclusive leader because you're passionate about creating a people-oriented culture. And since becoming CEO, you've championed the company values and included cultural initiatives that highlight diversity, inclusion, and gender equality. So why is inclusion such an important priority for you?
Well, I think probably the most satisfying part of my job is working as part of a team and then being able to influence things and bring about change. And when I first arrived at the group in December 19, so nearly 2 years ago now, I went round the senior leadership, as you always do when you start a new job, and asked them what they felt the most pressing issue in the business was. And the answer was actually unanimous, and it wasn't really what I was expecting, but it was very much their desire to create a people-orientated culture. They felt somehow that had been diluted along the way. And I think you can only really then start to create that culture if you think very broadly about inclusion and diversity. So that's really kind of what we set out to do from day one.
So in all these changes then, what's been the biggest challenge in changing your culture and how did you tackle it?
Well, it sounds probably really straightforward, but it was probably finding the right way to communicate with everyone in the business. So just to give some context to that, we've got about 1,350 people in round numbers who all work across, different disciplines and in multiple locations. So what we wanted to do was to set a very transparent and honest tone really from the very beginning. And I think then we wanted to make sure that we were asking for honest feedback from those individuals as well, and then actually doing something about it. And when we started this process, we got our after feedback, which actually was really encouraging, but I think it just showed what a need there was to open the lines of communication with the management team. And I think the second thing we did, which was a real challenge, but something it's becoming more of a normality for us now, is recognising people for the great work they do and making them feel a really important part of the company. Somehow that had been lost along the way, just saying thank you, but also doing something a little bit more special when people have really gone above and beyond. And we've had loads of instances in the last 18 months where people really have shown, they've done fantastic things for the organisation, and it's been great to be able to have a more natural reaction to say, right, we're going to do something to specifically recognise that.
So absolutely, so appreciating people and showing it, but also tapping into that collective intelligence of the people inside the organisation who probably do have the answers to how to enact this change is absolutely the right move, isn't it? So thanks for sharing that. So how do you think we can encourage more automotive leaders to see the benefits of gender balance and ensure that they help women in the sector to thrive as well as the men can?
Well, I guess the first thing, it sounds really obvious, is you've got to put it on the business agenda. And I think for me, the second thing I had to go and do was then find some advocates in the business that I could work with and who could somehow act as multipliers across the organisation in a wider sense than, the remit I guess the reach that I have, not the remit, but the reach. And then I think you've got to make sure that you've got some proper tools in place, so things like succession planning, secondments, mentoring, coaching, all of those things that we all aspire to have in the business and that should work really well. And I think then you've got to effectively communicate those to everybody in the employee segment so that they know what they can expect and what tools they've got to help them be part of a much more inclusive organisation. So quite simple things really, but nevertheless you've got to have those structures in place to make that work. But I think the most important one is having advocates in the business that act as multipliers, and then I think people start to really see that you're walking the talk, as it were.
Right, well that's really good advice, Angela. So we've come to the end of our chat, so thank you very much, Angela Shepherd, our Inspiring Automotive Women Inclusive Leader Award winner.
Thank you very much, and well done to all the other winners as well. Thank you.
Joining me now is Kat Mosley, Chief People Officer at Motorpoint and winner of our HR Director Game Changer Award for the action she's taken in the form of innovative HR practices to remove barriers and bias and improve diverse female representation. Huge congratulations, Kat.
Thank you.
So, what was your reaction when you found out that you were a winner?
Well, I was really proud, obviously. I think personally I was very proud. It was something that I'd set myself and a little bit of a promise to Mark actually when I joined. It was one of those things that we talked about, wanting to make a difference in inclusion and attracting more women into our business and doing some stuff for the sector. So personally I was proud of that, but it's something for Motorpoint, it's something for everybody. There's loads of people have made loads of positive change, so I think we can all celebrate it.
So it's evident in your nomination that since you joined Motorpoint 4 years ago, you've implemented some hugely innovative initiatives that have been successful in not only improving the gender balance, but also the diversity of the women in the company. And in fact, the representation of women in Motorpoint's upper quartile has increased vastly from 5% to 19%. So well done with that. Can you share with us a few of the actions that have led to such success?
I think I wouldn't underestimate the small things. So there's lots of small things that have built up that have allowed us to start doing some of the bigger things and kind of catapult those results. But the first thing, it's senior leadership alignment in kind of what we're doing and why we want to do it. And we've totally got that, and we've got that through the business. It's looking at your business with a critical eye. So saying, where have we not got it right? Where could we be better? Do our policies work? Do our policies say our statement of intent about where we want to get to? So we did some small things. We changed policies. We made them more family friendly. We looked at our pay review process. We've got remuneration committee. I sit on that with the PLC board now. And we just made sure that the people that were making the decisions, we had a diverse lens through everything that we did. Once we'd done that, we talked to the teams, we listened to the team's voice, where there's barriers, where we could change things. We put spotlights on our role models that exist in our business, and we made sure we showed them internally but externally to the world as well. And then we started to look at partnerships. I think that's been a real thing for us. We've shown the art of the possible, and we've showcased role models. So internally, there's now people coming forward to say, I want to give it a go, whereas maybe they wouldn't have done before. But externally, we work with people like yourselves, Stonewall. We've used things like gender decoders, and we look at the language that we use in our adverts. And then we're doing a lot more with education, so thinking about next generation as well. So there's lots of different things. I've got our inclusion committee, which is allies from across our business. It's not really anything that a department's done or I've done. It's our team really doing it for us.
So lots and lots of different initiatives and actions. So which change are you the most proud of?
I guess for me, it's looking at the business now and seeing how many people have been promoted or moved. We just never had people move from customer service into sales. We had hardly any female sales executives, and I look now and there's multiple females in our sites. There's people that have been promoted through the ranks. So looking at that, the stat that you gave about the number of female talent in our upper quartile, they're the best people for the job. They've got the job, and it's not forced, it's not orchestrated. I'm proud that we as a business are attracting those women, that we are empowering people to want to move through the ranks. So that's a bit generic. It's not one action that I'm proud of. I guess it's the result of it. But it's the culture, it's the sentiment that is at the heart of Motorpoint.
So what advice would you give to other women, particularly those in the HR function, about how to keep relentlessly pushing for positive change with the leaders of the business?
The biggest thing I think is you know why are you doing it? Be really clear in yourself why you think it's an important change to make, and then you can absolutely articulate that and make sure people understand. I think often we assume people don't know or people don't care, but actually they just might not understand. So I think as long as you're articulating why you're doing something and keep that message very clear and going, you will make the change. If it's the right thing to do in the right organisation, you will make that change.
So really good advice. Thank you very much. So thank you so much, Kat Mosley, our Inspiring Automotive Women HR Director Game Changer Award winner.
Thank you.
Here with me now is Sibel Rayner, Customer Insight Manager at Volkswagen Group UK and our Diversity Champion Award winner for her work with her company's Cultural Diversity Employee Network Group and being a positive role model in outreach activities.
Thank you.
So congratulations, Sibel. What did you think when you found you'd won the Diversity Champion Award?
I was very, very surprised, but so happy to be recognized as well, and particularly to be able to represent the Cultural Diversity Employee Group in the awards. So I want to say thank you to you, Julia, for organizing the organization and the awards, and to the people who nominated me. I'm extremely touched, and my family is all in Curacao, so they're going to see the announcement a bit later, but my mom is very proud, of course, so thank you.
Thanks very much for your kind words. It's not often somebody gives me the thanks for this, so thanks, that's great. So tell us more about the Cultural Diversity Employee Network at Volkswagen Group UK.
So the Cultural Diversity Employee Network Group, so we were founded in 2019, and our core aim is to create a workplace that celebrates and embraces the uniqueness of everybody at Volkswagen Group. So it's about promoting diversity, inclusion, and the organization, and encouraging everyone to have a voice, really. So promoting opportunities for personal and professional growth as well. And some of the deliverables have been things like, promoting inclusive training, reverse mentoring, policy review, and we also mark some of the key cultural and religious events in our communications work stream. So, we have people coming in for Black History Month, for example.
So it sounds like Volkswagen UK are doing quite a bit in that area, but can you see the automotive industry becoming more culturally diverse?
Definitely. I think with digitalization, electrification, and the move of automotive industry into more customer-centric an industry, I think that means that we actually will be hiring more people who come from those types of industries who tend to be more diverse. So I think it's a great time to bring great talent from other industries into automotive, which will make us more diverse as well.
Well, that's good to hear. So it's evident from your nomination that you're inspiring others around you by championing diversity and providing advice and support to other women. So what advice do you wish you'd been given when you were starting your career?
Just to be yourself, to be myself, and to just be comfortable that the when you're out of the comfort zone is when you're in your learning zone. And then something that I tell my daughter is just do things scared. So obviously often that out of comfort zone is what gets you forward, and you just have to do it scared till you're not scared again. So I think that for me would be the key advice I wish someone had given me.
Great advice. Well, so thank you very much for everything that you're doing, Sibel. Truly deserving of our award, the Diversity Champion Award winner for 2021. Congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you, Julia. Thank you.
It's now my pleasure to introduce Jade Price, the winner of the Trailblazer Award for championing gender balance and helping to change perceptions of the industry, blazing an inspirational trail to enable many others to believe that they could follow in her footsteps. So congratulations, Jade.
Thank you very much.
So how did you feel when you found out you were a winner?
I generally didn't believe it at first. I was like, me? And I rung my mum and dad and told them. My mum and dad were really, really like excited. My dad was chuffed because daddy's little girl. So my dad was absolutely over the moon, but it was nice to feel like I made an impact. So it was great.
Good. So what would you say about the fact that, so you're seen as a trailblazer because you made the move from service advisor to train as an apprentice technician?
Yeah.
And we are obviously as a sector would benefit if many more women made that transition. So can you tell us, why did you make that decision?
I've always been brought up around cars, so my enthusiasm started from a very young age. So it was always sort of in my blood pretty much, but it was just making that move and beating it's a men's only sort of thing. So it was that, and I was just like, I'm going to do it. I've left it too long now. It's been 12 years. Give myself a kick up the backside, to put it politely. And then this is where I am now. No looking back.
So you'd always wanted to work with cars, and when you were a lot younger, you thought you might do that in a technical way, but it kind of didn't go into that for whatever reason, and now you decided it's time to do it.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
So what advice would you give to other women who may wish to become vehicle technicians?
Times are so different now. Places are a lot more accepting, a lot more open with it. I think if anything, a lot of places show pride that they've got a woman on the team now, because we are so intricate and we do care so much. So just go for it. If anything, COVID has taught us life is too short. Don't look back. There's nothing worse than getting so far in life and thinking, why didn't I just do it? So just do it. Feel proud of yourself, because there's nothing better.
That's really good advice. Now, you've been involved in our Automotive 30% Club outreach activities, which is much appreciated. Thank you. How do you think we can do more to encourage more young women to seek careers in the workshop?
I think workshops would be good. Exposing what the working behind the scenes are like, what it entails. Like I myself, I'll post pictures on my Instagram of before, during and after of a lot of things. So I think that'll help women quite a lot, so they can see it for themselves. It's honestly, just go for it. Hands on, anything practical, I think women would love, so they can do it too.
So it's about having a go, but also seeing other women doing it. You know, so if they can see it, they can be it.
Yeah, seeing is believing 100%.
Yeah. So we've come to the end of our chat. So thanks very much, Jade Price, our Inspiring Automotive Women Trailblazer Award winner. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm very pleased to welcome Lucy Yasumi, Social Media Executive at Auto Trader UK and winner of the Rising Star Award for her involvement in Auto Trader's Disability and Neurodiversity Network, for being a positive role model and making a huge impact by inspiring other women in her first role after graduating from university.
Hi Julia, thank you for having me.
So congratulations Lucy on being named our Rising Star. How does it make you feel to be recognised in this way?
I'm quite surprised, to be honest. Of course it feels amazing to be recognised, but I was really shocked at the beginning. I actually thought that the email had been sent to the wrong person. But yes, obviously I really appreciate the time that was taken into writing that nomination, and it's made me feel really motivated and grateful to have such supportive colleagues around me.
So your nominator said that you're an important driving force behind the Disability and Neurodiversity Network. So can you tell us more about that group and its purpose?
Yeah, so it was actually formed a few months before I joined the business, and I heard all about the excellent work that was going on in that space. So once I heard about it, I really wanted to join in and get involved. So it's basically about creating a space for disabled and neurodiverse colleagues and allies alike, and just ensuring that everyone within Auto Trader, as well as our consumers and customers, feels included in everything that we do.
I see. So you're clearly an inspiring role model for women with disabilities. So what key change do you think we should all make to ensure neurodiverse and women with disabilities can succeed in automotive and tech?
Well, there's obviously a very big question for me to answer, and it definitely feels like a lot more voices need to be involved in answering this question. But the one key suggestion that I would give personally is to give people an opportunity to request those reasonable adjustments to create an environment where they can produce their best work. There has to be that sort of collaboration between a person and like their manager, for example, but I really do think that given the right space, everyone does have an opportunity to shine. So it's just about creating that space for people where they can flourish.
And so your disability, you would say, is you have arthritis. What requests did you make with regards to your own working conditions?
Yeah, so pre-COVID, when working from home wasn't as much of a thing, I had the opportunity to work from home if I needed to. So the thing about the condition that I have is that it is really random. It's not always something that I can predict is going to affect me one morning, for example. So actually having that opportunity in place to say, do you know what, I'm not really feeling that great today. I can make myself worse if I sort of force myself into the office. Having that support from my manager and from my team as a whole really made me feel more comfortable in producing my best work essentially. And other small things like switching out the original laptop I had to a lighter one so that it wasn't causing pain when I was coming into the office and bringing it in and out every day. It's that kind of thing really, which particularly with COVID seems like such a basic idea really, but at the time it was actually quite a big deal, because I think particularly with Auto Trader, like our culture is massive to us, and it's really important to be in person and collaborate in that way. But it was great to see them make adjustments for me so that I didn't become unwell or more than I needed to be. It was really great for me.
Yeah, it's really good to hear that Auto Trader are able to include you in a way that can really optimize the use of your skills. So that's fantastic. So you're fresh out of university and just embarking on your career really, yet you're already making such wonderful waves. So what are your plans to keep inspiring others in the future?
Yeah, so like you said, I came straight to Auto Trader after graduating actually 2 years ago now. So obviously I have a really long road ahead of me career wise, but I just want to continue in that social media space and having inclusion at the forefront of everything that we do, both internally and externally.
That's really good. So thank you so much, Lucy Yasumi, our Inspiring Automotive Women Rising Star Award winner.
Thank you so much.
So before we announce our Inspiring Automotive Woman of the Year, Here's a short film showcasing the Automotive 30% Club's activities and how we would love you all to be involved. Now, it's my great pleasure to introduce Deanna Avis and baby Yuri as well. And Deanna is the National Customer Experience Lead at Solus Accident Repair and is the winner of our Inspiring Automotive Woman of the Year Award for 2021. Congratulations, Deanna.
Thank you so much, Julia. I am just blown away and beyond honored. Thank you.
So how did you feel when you actually found out that you'd won the award?
I was in shock, and I think I'm still in shock actually. As you've gathered, I'm still on maternity leave, and I didn't even know I'd been nominated. So I found out very quickly that I'd been nominated and that I'd won, and I'm just honestly very humbled by it, because this is a tremendous organization that is got huge goals for improving representation, and so it means so much for me personally to be recognized by you. So thank you.
Well, that's great to hear that. Thanks, Deanna. So you've also previously been recognised with awards as a high-performing customer experience professional. So can you tell us about your career story to date, including why you joined the automotive industry?
Yes, certainly. Well, I'll leave out the bits about making cappuccinos when I was 16. That's probably not as relevant, although if anyone does need a coffee, I'm very good at that. But my career really started when I came to England when I was 19, and I was with the company before Solus for 10 years. I started in an entry-level position, just doing kind of data entry stuff. And I am quite a people person, so I moved into customer service roles because I wanted to be dealing with people. And through there, it was just a case of kind of always sticking my head up and saying, what more can I do? If I got bored, it wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna, just have an easy afternoon. I was always looking for more to do. And that just led to so many opportunities. I ended up going from doing customer service roles to business analysis and leading projects, including working abroad, sometimes in France and Hong Kong. And so I did quite a lot of, kind of business integration stuff when we were buying new companies and getting people to work together. I've found that has been the key, is just getting to work with different groups of people from different cultures. And that's what everything in business hinges on. No matter what industry you're in, that's the commonality, is that we're all dealing with people. It kind of doesn't matter what it is that you're selling or you're making, because it's all run by people. And once you start to understand human nature and how to work with people and how to motivate them, then you can work in any industry. So that really helped me move from, so I ended up doing a global customer experience role at that engineering company that I was with. And then I was headhunted to work at Solus because they were doing a transformation, or they had ambitions to do a transformation. And that just got me super intrigued, because I love change, and I loved the idea of having kind of a fresh slate to start from. So we were very traditional garage, so it wasn't very different perhaps from other repair centers, and that was a huge opportunity because we wanted to be very different. We wanted to live up to the Aviva brand. So it was just so exciting to have this appetite, this willingness to change, and it was really pushing an open door because everyone wanted to do that. And I think that's the biggest thing, is finding that willingness to change. And once you've got everyone on board, then it makes it so much easier. So I think a lot of the success at Solus has been down to them being so open and motivated to do that. I just helped facilitate that. And I'm so happy that they invited me in to do that. That was back in 2015. So I've been with them now for can't count, 6 years.
So really interesting story, thanks. So you won the award because of your strength of commitment to the cause of gender balance and inclusion in both your own company and in going beyond that to the wider sector, and specifically for founding the Solus Balance community. So can you tell us more about what action you personally took to actually make that happen?
Yeah, it was a labor of love. So kind of since day one, I have been very passionate about diversity and inclusion. However, it was something where we had to kind of get to a a stable enough place with, you know, with our customers and with how the business was running before we could start to focus on the people and the culture. Even though, you know, obviously the change is driven from people and culture, but it took us getting to a strong enough place to be able to then take that next step. So once we'd kind of, you know, we'd won the Customer Experience Award and our transformation was had gone very well and we were seeing very solid results, then it was the opportunity to then go deeper into our people agenda. And so what I did really was, you know, just connecting the dots. I can't take credit for it. I just helped connect the dots between, you know, what I saw other people doing outside of Solus, and particularly also in Aviva. They are very strong on diversity and inclusion. And I saw a huge difference in the culture at Aviva versus the culture in Solus, which was just a traditional body shop kind of, you know, kind of, I guess, bantery culture and just not in a bad way. It's a very warm environment, but sometimes it just didn't get taken seriously at the same level that it does in a corporate. And so we needed a bit of that rigor. And so all I did was bring in that framework. So it wasn't just the gender balance, it was actually along six axes of intersectionality. So it was, you know, gender, you know, cultural origin, you know, age, disability, and then there's a couple of others I'm thinking on my feet. So sorry, I can't remember what they all were, but there's 6 different aspects, 6 different communities that I helped set up. And yeah.
So, well, focusing in therefore on the accident repair sector, we know that there are significant challenges faced in that part of the industry in becoming more inclusive and diverse. So can you tell us more about what the Solus Balance community's progress has been?
Yeah, so I mean, it's very new. The community was set up right before I went on maternity leave. So we were having the initial conversations around January of this year, and I think we launched it in February, and so I was there for about a month before I handed it over. So I was very glad to get that done before I went off, because I was like, I must get this up and running before I go, because I want it to be in a good place for when I come back. So having caught up with everyone in terms of what they're doing there, we are just working to appeal to more women and to really show the career progression that is possible at Solus. One way we've been doing that is by focusing on our apprentice program as well. We've had some amazing apprentices come through who have won awards, and the female apprentices that we've had we've just been so proud of them. And so we've had some go into management positions. We have one this year that is up for an award and has got a good chance of winning. So fingers crossed. That's Nicolette at Bournemouth. So we will be cheering for her. So, you know, just focusing on getting new people into the business. And also, of course, it is about nurturing the talent that you have. And we do have a lot of talent, and showing how those roles can progress, because sometimes people don't see the career path. So we have been doing a lot of work on our people agenda. So it's about connecting up the balance community with our people function, and then helping identify those high potential individuals to give them a path and give them that support.
And you're certainly nurturing some young talent there who seems to be the star of the show at the moment.
Yes.
So just a couple more questions then. So we know that the sector was designed a long time ago, in the 20th century, around the default white male. And this means that there are often invisible barriers to entry and progression for people who don't match that profile. And yet, because they've got diverse perspectives and lived experience, they could add so much to the success of a business, can't they? So as an intersectional diverse person yourself, what advice would you give on what we should do to remove bias and barriers and to enable more intersectional people, more diverse people to thrive in the automotive sector?
I love this question. It's so important. And I mean, yes, as you mentioned, you know, I'm an immigrant here. I'm Mexican American. I'm a woman in a minority woman in a leadership role in the body shop industry, and I am really passionate about helping other people, and it's not just even helping just myself, it's helping people in the workshop if they're from different backgrounds. You know, how can they succeed? Perhaps English isn't their first language. You know, what support do they need to be able to climb the ranks, because they can be technically brilliant, you know, and have so much to offer. So I think that a lot of it is around finding mentors. I think that's one thing that has personally helped me a lot, is having mentorship, seeing someone being able to push that door open, and then also helping, throw a rope down and helping you find your way up. So it's really the opposite of a competitive attitude. It's just helping each other. So if you're in a position where you want to progress, I think having the bravery to speak to people, and it might not be someone from your exact background, but maybe perhaps you're a woman and you can find another woman in the organization, and they can help nurture you. I think that it's just so important to connect on that level. And that's one thing that I've been doing. I really enjoy mentoring people in Solus. And so I've done that with one of our people, Vicky, helping her, learn some of the customer experience skills, helped with the leadership program. We did lots of strengths training. So it all comes down to people and culture. So that's a very long-winded way of saying, be proactive, seek mentors, don't wait for them to come to you, because that's one thing I think I had a lot of gumption coming up through the ranks. I didn't have a degree, I didn't have experience in this industry, but I was always willing to ask and kind of just get involved, whether it be across management levels or across dealing with different companies or Aviva or their supply chain and all of that.
Great. So what would you advise people from currently underrepresented groups that automotive would be a good career move? What would you say to them about joining the automotive sector?
Yeah, it's a very exciting sector. It's very fast paced. I mean, time goes so quickly, you'd be amazed. And it's very rewarding because it does move so quickly. I mean, think about what we're doing. We are here to get people around. That's why we exist. The automotive industry is so that we can, carry on with our lives and do the things that we need to do. So we play a fundamental role in everything that's going on. And so it is very rewarding because there's a tangible effect on what we do. So I think it's a wonderful industry to be in. And that's another thing as well, is the perception of the industry is perhaps, maybe what you've seen on EastEnders or something, visions you have of a garage from, so many years ago that's kind of, in a certain way. And actually, if you see what a repair center is like now, it is very technical, it's very clean, and there's a lot of pride there, and not all of the roles are even in the workshop. There's plenty of other things to learn about, whether it's a project management or people or finance, but everything in the industry is, I would say, is fast paced and interesting, and the people are very passionate about it. It's just been a very warm and down to earth industry. I love that as well because it's somehow less corporate, so you get a very, a human connection.
So we're coming to the end of our questions. So thank you very much, Deanna, our Inspiring Automotive Woman of the Year award winner.
Thank you from the bottom of my heart. I am so humbled, and also to everyone else who has been nominated. You are all amazing, and yes, just thank you for recognizing me and for supporting women.
Thank you very much to Yuri as well, who's just about ready, I think, to give up.
He's done well.
He's done very well. Yeah, he's enjoying the laughter bit now.
His first live interview. Bravo.
Please can you just stay on with us now and join our special recognition winners to answer some questions from the audience. Thank you.
Thank you.
So joining me and Deanna now are Angela, Kat, Jade, Sibel and Lucy. So welcome to you all.
Hello.
Hi.
So I'm going to ask you some questions from the audience. So please, those of you who are watching out there and haven't yet submitted a question, please do. We have about 30 minutes for this session, and it'd be great to hear your to hear your thoughts and to hear what you would like to ask our Inspiring Automotive Women Award winners. So I'm going to start with a question that's come in, and I'm going to put it to Angela. So first of all, this is a question from Claire Wright, should I say. So what more do we need to make change happen and have even better progress for women reaching senior roles? So over to you, Angela.
Well, hello, Claire. Thanks for the question. As I said earlier, I think actually the first thing we need to do is make sure it's on the business agenda. So that sounds very simple, but again, that's not always quite as easy as saying it. I think then it's really about using the right influence with male colleagues to provide compelling business arguments that, you know, make everybody believe that it's a really important issue to have a good gender balance, and to have senior female leaders in the business that can provide, you know, some different perspectives to whatever it is that's going on. And I guess thirdly, it's really about making sure that we have those roles available and they're attainable and they're seen as attainable across the business for people to be inspired to go into, and then making sure that those roles are flexible enough so that people can also, you know, do their work and perform well and get fulfillment from their roles or their careers, but also that there's enough space for their personal commitments as well. And I think that's a really important thing. I think you get the best out of employees, don't you, when there's some give and take in the organisation, but it's not just all about work. It's about recognising people have got to have a work-life balance, and that, you know, we can provide that.
And so just building on that, Angela, the flexibility and the work-life balance, do you see that men are also asking for those opportunities in the organisation as well? Are they available to both genders?
They are. I mean, I think we tend to get less requests for that from our male counterparts. However, you know, I think we would treat people equally and everybody on their own merits, and you know, everybody's requests and needs are quite individual. But certainly, you know, we'd have a very open attitude to that, regardless of gender. Lots of people have, you know, elderly relatives to look after. They have their own personal issues to deal with. They've got children, and I guess, you know, the pandemic's provided a very different backdrop for those sorts of considerations to maybe what we would have or how we would have looked at it before. I think we would have been flexible before, but I think now we can all, you know, with confidence say the work can still get done in many aspects of the business we perform in a different way to how we've done it before.
Okay, great. And just picking up that point about the pandemic, and I'll just move on to Kat, and so hopefully you can maybe look at this from an HR perspective for us. I have a question that asks, do you think the COVID pandemic has positively changed policies within the business? And what impact do you think this will have long term on the business?
Yeah, I think it has. I think when we talk about flexible working, and I think it's forced us to have to work differently, which is giving people confidence. I think it's forced trust that maybe would have taken time, but we've been able to deliver it. So I think it has. I think with that there is there's a balance because we've lost a little bit of connectivity. So I think there's some power in that as well, by being able to see each other in the workplace. So I think it will take a few months. Businesses will start to kind of find the happy medium with that. But yeah, I definitely think it's escalated kind of the approach to flexible working for sure.
Thanks, Kat. So one for Sibel now. What impact will the fact that you've been recognised with your Diversity Champion Award have on Volkswagen Group UK?
I think well, in the first place, I think awards always bring a lot of excitement for those who nominate us, but also creates a lot of awareness and a bit of a buzz around the business on the topic, which is always good. I'd also say that it's a great way to show others that they can also have a positive and lasting impact on the business when it comes to the areas that you're passionate about. So for me, it's not just about gender diversity, but also cultural and ethnic diversity. And I think finally, I also hope any recognition that myself or anyone else gets really gets to drive that momentum that we've had in the cultural diversity employee group, or any of the women or other employee groups that we have, and actually brings more people on board from any background, from any gender, to try and help drive those projects forwards as well.
Okay, thanks for that. So Our next question is for Jade. Now, were you made very welcome in the workshop when you first started?
Yeah, the guys were all great. It's almost as if I was one of them from the beginning, so they were amazing, really welcoming.
And what did your friends and family think of you taking the step to work in, you know, pretty male-dominated team?
They was glad because it'd been a long time coming, so it was just getting the confidence and finding the support group that you knew would be beneficial for you and help you out as much as possible. But no, they were great. They've literally treated me as if I was one of their own. So anything that the lads have had, I've had it 10 times worse. I've been forced to be welcomed in it, but no, they've been spot on. The family's been great. Everyone's been great. There's not a negative thing I could say about it.
Well, that's really good to hear, Jade. So just building on that point then, and I'll move to Deanna for this one, talk about the body shop industry. So what do you think more can be done to attract women to maybe join the technical roles that exist in the accident repair centre?
Yeah, that's a huge question. Thank you, Julia. Well, it's one that is very sorely needed because we have an aging workforce. So it is generally older males. And so obviously as they're getting towards retirement age, we desperately need to continue making sure that we've got fresh talent in the body shop industry. So one of the things that I think will really help is changing the perception of what type of industry it is, because I think it is so very technical and clean, and you know there's a lot of skill behind it. And I think that people have a perception that it's kind of like maybe dirty or grubby work, and it's not like that at all. It's almost, you know, like surgical in precision. So I would say for anyone who is, you know, likes puzzles or just likes working with their mind, it is very you know, intelligent work. And I think that we need to change that perception. So I would say doing outreach to, you know, colleges to help them see what it's actually like. Definitely promoting women who are already in the workplace. So, you know, when we have, you know, like Steph, who's our regional operations lead, who's a woman, people in those leadership positions, putting them out there so that other people can see that there are opportunities. Apprentices, you know, we have lots of female apprentices. So again, you know, like Jade, showcasing that success, because that's going to, Jade, you're going to inspire so many other women as well. So just, it's kind of snowballed. So it's all of that, celebrating the success you have. And then I think the other aspect of it is understanding your employee experience, because your existing employee base is a huge source of data and insight for you. So really listening to those surveys. What are people telling you about what it's like to work there now? What does it feel there now? You don't have to pay a huge consultant to do that. Just speak to your own people. You've got so much expertise to understand your culture, and then you can understand the gap between where you are and where you want to be. There's so much more, but it's really making sure that you're all joined up with your employee experience, your recruitment, you know, your outreach, your social media, your communications, and all of that, to build the culture that you want.
Yeah, all about the culture and all about having a properly integrated strategy on how to communicate with your recruitment market, really. So yeah, great, thanks, Deanna. So I'm going to open a question out to everyone on the panel now. And so this is, well, it's coming from Penny Weatherup from Volkswagen Group, and it says, who has been your biggest female role or real model? And also another one was, which woman apart from or in addition to your mum has inspired you? So it's kind of the same angle there. So if we start with Lucy, please.
Yeah, well, that's a really big question. I think it's quite difficult to sort of pinpoint one woman. So I'm sort of going to have a bit of a cop-out answer, to be honest with you. And I'd just say generally the women at Auto Trader are extremely inspiring to me. I think when I joined the business, I was one of those people that had some of those common misconceptions about that, like gender balance within the industry. And, you know, there is still that way to go, but I was really pleasantly surprised to see the amount of inspirational women that are at Auto Trader, and particularly in those senior roles, which I didn't expect, and that's my own bias in and of itself. But yeah, I'd say generally the people that I work with are a massive inspiration to me, for sure, and my mum, like you said.
Thanks, Lucy. So over to you, Sibel.
Yeah, I'll have to say my mom as well. And I think I'll give it a bit of an example why, and I'll mention another person if that's okay, Julia. Just because I'm not from UK, I'm from a small island in the Caribbean, and if I think about it now, the fact that she let me, 18-year-old, go to live in the US, go to university when I knew no one else there. So in a way, her belief in the fact that she didn't want to hold me back, I think is the only reason where I am here. So that I think that's great, and I think that's the kind of women that we want to have in our lives. I had to do something for one of those articles at one point, and for Black History Month, I think it was, and there was lots of things talking about Kamala Harris being the first Black woman VP, and again in Curacao, where I'm from, we had a prime minister in the 80s, I think, who was a woman prime minister. And she was involved with lots of really important things for the economy of Curacao. So I also kind of referred to her in that my forming years, I had a female prime minister. I think with my mom and a female prime minister, probably maybe that's where I am now.
Well, two very important women there in your life. So on to Jade. Who's inspired you?
This is going to sound really random. It's actually a lady called Michelle Westby. Similar situation to getting women into automotive. She actually started out drifting, and she had the same mentality as she was put in a position where she was believed that she wouldn't be able to do it. So compared to where she's at now, she's done massive shows. She's very well known. So I think her, because it's nice to see that you can have a real big outcome and do it for yourself. So I'd say her and every other woman in the automotive industry, because you look around and see the effects. I mean, it doesn't necessarily always have to be hands-on. It's just every job counts and makes a difference. So every single woman, and Michelle Westby is it for me.
Very good. Thanks, Jade. So Kat, who's inspired you?
I've been really lucky. I've worked for 3 or 4 really, really strong female leaders. I was in hospitality before this role, and as a sector, I think we'd been on a similar journey to where hospitality is now. It'd been quite heavily male dominated. It was pubs that I initially was in, which was very male dominated, but there were so many senior female, really strong women in those roles. So they were brilliant at what they did at work. They kind of taught me about kind of values-based leadership, but also like have you as well, be a mum, be a wife, whatever you want to be, get the balance and don't compromise. There's probably about 4 different women that I've worked with and for, have all taught me something very, very different. I'm a mum.
Great, thanks, Kat. Angela.
Well, I'd have to say my mum, wouldn't I, after that? I couldn't possibly leave her out, otherwise I'd have absolute war on my hands when I get home. So obviously her. I'd also say my grandmother was hugely influential. I lived with her for a long time in quite formative years, and she was a lady. She didn't work in the automotive industry. She worked in finance, and she worked till she was 71 full time, which I find staggering, although many of us, of course, be working that long in our careers now. If I think about the automotive industry, though, actually, when I was first a graduate trainee at Mercedes-Benz, I worked alongside a very lady with very strong personality who was a sales administrator. And I think perhaps she unwittingly at the time, certainly on my part, took me under her wing, and she really taught me how to be making my voice heard, as a female in a very even more male dominated environment back then, and very supportive and very encouraging to, put new ideas forward and to go for roles that perhaps traditionally had been filled by male colleagues back then. And I think perhaps at the time I wasn't really aware of that impression that she made, but I actually think that's probably shaped my confidence in pushing myself forward a bit more than maybe I would have done otherwise. And I think because it came so early on in my career, with hindsight, probably that was, really important.
Thanks for sharing that, Angela. And last but not least, Deanna.
Thank you. Well, I've got to say my mum, because she is watching from California right now, and she always encouraged me to work very hard and be independent. Apart from that, I would say two women. First is Jean Bliss. She's a customer experience consultant, and she kind of created the role of chief customer officer. So as far as I'm aware, before Jean Bliss, it wasn't really a role that existed. So I know it's not specific to the automotive industry, but she really inspired me to want to go into customer experience. And just having, I mean, she was a tremendous role model for me, and I just devoured her books and her blogs, and then just got into that through a bunch of self-study. So I thank her for the career path I'm on, and that it's helped me, you know, meet a lot of amazing people through the work that I do. And then the other one would be actually a therapist that I used to have. I'm not shy about saying I had therapy before. Amanda Watson. She is incredible, and she inspired me to study psychology at the Open University, which I'm still in the process of doing. So again, that is very relevant to everything that we do, because we are all people and we are all driven by a number of different things. So yes, thank you to all of those wonderful women, and to all of you. I'm inspired by all of you.
Thanks for that, Deanna. So some amazing women there named. So let's move on now to talk about, I think I'll ask Kat this question. So it's about creating the right culture that's in order for women to flourish. So Bernice Fulton has sent a question in that says, could you actually share an initiative or a particular change that you put in place that's had the biggest impact in creating the right culture and moving towards a gender balance?
Yes, no, I mean, it definitely isn't one thing. There's loads of small things that are led by everyone, and that's when you get the change. So I think if I talk about the catalyst at this point, I think when it really did start to shift quite quickly, it's when we put on the agenda. People said that before. We took a look at ourselves, and we were really open that we just weren't happy with where we were, kind of our inclusion and our balance across the board in many areas, whether that was leadership or out in operations. And we talked about it. It's putting it out there, to aligning the management teams on it, but also talking to the team about it and explaining, why we're not happy, where the vision is that we want to get to. And Mark, our CEO, he does, we call them happy hours, but they're team forums, and we'll go to certain groups of people and we'll listen. We want to hear how we could do it better, how it feels, talk about the ideas that we're thinking about changing. And I think getting that two-way with the team, it certainly meant when we have made changes, they've been the ones that have made the bigger difference. But more than anything, you've just got to keep it on the agenda. You've got to keep looking at yourself, and you've got to keep talking about it.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm just going to move on to now. There's a question about another type of initiative, and that's a mentoring program. And I'm going to put this to Sibel, because I understand that Volkswagen Group UK do have a form of a mentoring program. So the question is, how have mentoring programs had a positive effect on the women in your organisation?
I don't work in HR, so I can't talk about all women, but I do know that we have a very comprehensive and formal process, as well as I know people have approached me informally as well, so I'm assuming this happens also informally in terms of mentoring. There's 3 different types. I think there's mentoring, there's formal, informal, there's the reverse mentoring, which is when you kind of swap it around and have someone maybe less senior mentoring someone a bit more senior on a topic, which they are more aware of overall. And then we also have a sponsorship program as well, where definitely in the area of women and gender and inclusion, there is a lot of focus on helping women to make the right steps, understand what the next steps need to be in their careers, and helping them go forward on that. So I can't speak for all women, but I expect and I assume that because the programs have been running for some time, that they are very positive, and there's always an opportunity to join a program and move off of a program when you feel like you've achieved the objectives that you've wanted to achieve.
Great, thanks. I do believe that there's probably a form of mentoring program happening in Auto Trader as well. But Lucy, if you can actually answer this question, which is about the Disability and Neurodiversity Network that you're a part of. The question is, what are your future aspirations for it? I suppose, what are the aims and what do you hope to achieve through the network?
I think there's a lot of work to be done, to be honest with you. So it's quite hard to sort of nail it down in 1 or 2 minutes speaking about this now. I think one of the key things is about awareness. I think disability and neurodiversity is such a broad umbrella, and it covers so many different things. Disability and neurodiversity, both quite separate things, but obviously there is that overlap there as well. So I think it's about awareness, like keeping those conversations going, making sure that we're sort of continuing to challenge things and starting those conversations as well. So like I said, continuing to create those spaces where people can talk about the things that they need, or any indiscrepancies that they see within the current systems that we have, whether that's internally or externally, things that we can change. So it sounds so simple, but adding subtitles to all of our videos that go out, both internal and external, it's things like that where just continuing to be really accessible. So it's not so much specific things that we're looking to be doing, but I think also as well reaching out to external organizations too, and speaking to other people and learning from other people too, because we've got quite a few colleagues at Auto Trader who can help with that, but it goes beyond us as well. So it's about sort of being humble in that and reaching out where we don't necessarily have those answers ourselves, so that we can balance it out and making sure that we're getting perspectives from everywhere.
And I do think that, it's great that Auto Trader have made this step forward. I know that there are some other of our member companies that have also got similar networks and guilds. And I do think it's something that it's something that's so important, because it's such an untapped pool of talent out there. If there are processes in the organisation that are unintentionally excluding people. So it's great to hear the work that's been done and that you're a big part of it. So thanks for that, Lucy. I'm going to now go back to Angela, because we've had another question come in that maybe you're in the best situation to answer, if I can find it. So it's from Marie Barry, and she's asking, how can we make the case for more flexible working in a high intensity operational environment that's target driven?
And it's a very good question, and it's one we wrestle with, because I think, as I said earlier, the pandemic has taught us probably that flexibility is a much more appealing option, both to colleagues and to organisations since the pandemic. But of course, we still run shops in our business, and you can't have people working from home always if we're having to open the doors and receive customers in to buy our products. So I would say it's a real challenge. But what we can do, I think, is create roles that are a little bit more flexible around the edges. So, for example, late last year we did quite a redesign of our front of house in after sales to make work-life balance better for some of our customer facing staff. So we moved away from the very, very long hours that we ran before to shorter hours. We've offered more flexibility around Monday to Friday and not so much at weekends. So we've come up with some kind of creative ways of making the jobs, to be quite honest, more appealing and much better for the people that are already in them. So, and obviously then that speaks to the gender issue. Many of our customer facing roles are also run by ladies and by gentlemen. And I think both people, or both genders, want some degree of flexibility. So I think it actually makes us a bit more contemporary as an employer. It offers something different, to come to work for us rather than another retailer that perhaps runs a little bit more traditionally. And that's what we're looking to do. We want to attract and obviously retain talent. whatever the gender balance is, but obviously we're trying to appeal to more women as well, and very often perhaps they're the ones with more childcare commitments or other commitments, and for whom that might be an option where it wasn't perhaps before.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to now put a question to a group of you. So this one is for Kat, Jade and Lucy. And it's, so first of all for you, Kat, what advice would you have for women starting out on a career in the automotive industry? And that's coming from Catherine Fairs of Auto Trader. So what advice would you have for women starting out?
I mean, my advice, it's probably rubbish advice. Just go for it. I mean, if it's what you want to do, just be yourself, and it doesn't matter what sector you're in. That's how I've always done my career anyway. And make sure you know why you want it, and just go for it. Don't, your worst enemy can be yourself, your own kind of inner voice that might question or compromise things. So I'd say if you feel that voice ever coming on, make sure you've got that one real trusted person, whether that's in the organisation or out the organisation, that if that voice starts to get a bit loud, you go and talk to them, but believe in yourself, and that, you know, there's no reason why anyone else around you wouldn't. So go for it. It's great. It's a great sector, loads of opportunity, loads of diversity. So yeah, run with it.
Thanks. So over to you, Jade.
Similar to what's been said, the way I was looking at it as myself was that every year that I missed of doing it, I regretted it, and there's nothing worse than getting so far in life thinking I wish I'd just done that. So go for it. You've got nothing to lose at the end of the day, and you know you're stuck with yourself for the rest of your life. That's the one person that you're committed to, so you've got to make yourself happy, and the only person that's going to do that is you. So similar to what been said, just go for it, do it.
Great, thanks. And over to you, Lucy.
Yeah, I would just echo what both Jed and Kat have said. I think it's actually really funny what you said, Kat, because actually today I was having a bit of imposter syndrome and reached out to my manager, who I would say is that one person who is like really good at supporting me and like letting me know that that voice in my head needs to sort of quieten down a little bit. So 100%, I think it's about sort of seeking out those people who you know are going to support you. And I think particularly those spaces where you feel like you can grow and, you know, do the things that you want to do and, you know, build on new experiences and develop yourself. So there's no reason why you can't do it within the automotive sector. At the end of the day, it's so broad, it's so wide, there are so many different things that you can go into. So yeah, I think it's a great shout. Just go for it.
Great, thanks. And I'm going to put another question now to another group. And so this one is, how do you encourage your male colleagues to understand the importance of gender equality? And this one is going to go to the other three. So Deanna, Angela and Sibel. How do you encourage your male colleagues to understand the importance of gender equality? Perhaps how do we turn them into allies? So Deanna first.
Thanks. So I think this is, it's definitely a tricky one because it is such a male-dominated industry. We have definitely had in the past, sometimes when you celebrate International Women's Day, it's kind of like, oh, well, when's International Men's Day? That's always the annoying question you get. And I think that what I have found is very helpful is to find people who are already on board with this, and to get them to be quite visible examples. So we've got, you know, some of our leaders who are very passionate about supporting women, you know, for various reasons. And by them showing the way, then people start to trust their colleagues, basically. So it starts to make that change, and then people don't want to be left behind. Sorry, the baby doesn't want to be left behind either.
Okay, thanks. We'll move on then. Over to Angela.
So I'd agree with Diana. I mean, I think it's about finding allies and advocates in the business, using them as a multiplier effect. And I mean, if I take myself as an example, I've great support from my CFO. He runs our kind of female lead initiative. I don't actually get involved in that hugely because I don't want it to be seen as a personal mission because I'm a female in a senior role. And it's great. And he, along with some of my other board colleagues, effectively run that programme. Obviously, I know what's going on and I give input if I'm asked to, but certainly, you know, it needs to have that kind of snowball effect where you find those sponsors and advocates, and as Deanna said, then people don't want to be left out, and they can actually see the rationale then for having, you know, the business argument that says it makes you a better business. At the end of the day, you know, in Retail Group, half of the customers that walk through the door will be male and half will be female. So why shouldn't our organisation be somehow reflective of our customer base? So I agree with everything you've said. I think it's finding those allies and convincing them with the right business arguments as well. So,
thanks, Angela. So, final word to Sibel.
There's not much more I can add to that. I think one thing that we did actually recently is that we had an allyship panel, and we had people from different of our employee groups. And we had so many people listening in and talking, and there was a question to say, how can I be more of an ally? And I think it's a lot about education, about learning, doing your own work, curiosity. So anything that we can do to try and get people to think about the fact that they need to, not just in work, but also outside of work, just increase the number of people. I mean, the women that you read, the movies that you watch, people that you follow on Twitter, I think helps you get a much more broader perspective of a different voice, a different opinion, which is not relevant only in the business, but also outside. And I think that's one of the things that came out in that panel, which I think was quite a useful thing to share with those who are saying, how can I be more of an ally?
Great, thanks, Sibel. And I think just kind of building on your point there, I've got the final question here, which I'm going to put to Kat. And that is, it's coming from Professor Jim Saker of the IMI, so you can understand where he's coming from on this. And he's wanting to know, do you think we should make diversity and inclusion a part of a company induction or part of the company's development programme?
Yes, that's an easy one to answer. That's certainly something I'd be surprised if everyone on this panel hadn't already started that journey in their own business anyway. But it goes back to my first point. If you look at it and you talk about it, you'll do something about it. And you know, sometimes you might be better than you realise, and you're not celebrating it and not doing that role modelling bit. So 100% yes, I do believe that.
Right, thanks for such conviction on that one. It's a really good one to end with. So great, Kat. So thank you very much to my panel, to Deanna, to Angela, Kat, Jade, Sibel and Lucy. You're all so thoroughly deserving of your special awards. We have obviously sent out the hampers with a bottle of bubbly in it, and I would really like it if you have it. I know Jade is probably at work, so that's a little bit pushing the boundaries somewhat, but
he's calling my name, don't worry.
So you can wave on. But the rest of us, if you could all now just join me in a celebratory toast. Raise your glasses of bubbly or whatever it is that you have in your glass, and make a toast to all our inspiring automotive women, both the winners and all of those who were nominated. So congratulations.
Yay! Congratulations. Well done, everyone.
Thank you, and thanks for joining me, everyone. So it now remains for me to draw the event to a close. Thanks once again to our sponsors and supporters for enabling this to happen, and thank you to Nicola and Sophie from the Automotive 30% Club team for all your hard work. This afternoon we've celebrated and recognised the most inspiring women in the sector as nominated by their colleagues and peers. We've heard wonderful, uplifting stories of how all of you amazing women have not only added significant value to your businesses, but are also encouraging others to improve and progress, and are inspiring male colleagues to be inclusive leaders, allies and advocates. You're actively involved in creating inclusive environments and are also engaged in activities to show that automotive is a positive career choice for women. You are lifting other women as you rise. So all of you truly fabulous women deserve our heartfelt appreciation for your outstanding contribution to making our industry more vibrant, exciting, warm, collaborative and successful. Congratulations to you all once again on winning your thoroughly deserved award, and I hope that you will decide to be more involved with the activities of the Automotive 30% Club. I would also like you to join me in celebrating the wonderful, positive and lasting legacy left by our award winner Tracy Grist of Close Brothers Motor Finance, who sadly passed away on Tuesday. She was a truly inspirational woman who was much loved by her colleagues, and our sincere condolences go to her husband Ian, her family and her friends. Ryan Scaife, the head of sales for Close Brothers Motor Finance, has sent these words about her. Tracy was a beautiful person, both inside and out, who lit up every room she entered. She was a true inspiration to everyone she met, who had grit and determination to not let any barriers get in her way. Tracy made an immeasurable contribution to our business and colleagues and will leave a lasting impact and legacy for others to follow. So it remains for me now to leave you with a quote from the 20th century anthropologist Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has." So please do all keep on changing the automotive world. Congratulations, thanks to you all, and goodbye.